What does a miracle cost? We see in Mark chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, Jesus performs a miracle in which a paralytic gets healed. He comes in paralyzed and he goes away walking. But what does a miracle of this magnitude cost? And that's what we want to anchor our thoughts on today. You see, we read in Mark chapter 2, verses 1 to 5 like this. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. They gathered in such large numbers that no room was left, not even outside the door. And he preached the word to them. Some men came, bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Now, the emphasis of this passage is that Jesus alone has the ability to forgive sins. But we cannot overlook what was the cost for the miracle. And I want you to consider this. Sometimes we are waiting for our miracle, but we need to understand this, that sometimes God can do a miracle through us, or we could be the reason why somebody else experiences a miracle. Are we sensitive enough to bear the cost of a miracle? What do we see here? We see that there was no room. The home was absolutely packed. When we read the first few verses, we realize that Jesus had come home. Friends, when Jesus shows up at anyone's house, it's very difficult to keep the doors closed. When Jesus shows up at your home, it's going to become the epicenter of God's work for your locality. It's going to become the epicenter for God to work in and through your life. We don't know whose home this was, but it was somebody's home. And we see that they were willing enough to open up their homes. Unlike our homes, the Jewish homes back then just had about 2 rooms. And the maximum capacity that one house could accommodate would be around 50 people if they were all squeezed in. And we see that this particular home was open and available so that there was no room left. But I want you to see this. Where there was no room, the gospel was preached. Where there was no room, God worked so that everybody present there could be blessed by the teaching and the ministry of Jesus. Do you have room in your home for Jesus to work? Will you be willing to allow God to wreck your home so that others can hear about Jesus? The second thing we know about this house for sure is this house had its doors open. How do we know that? Because when we read verse 3, we realize that some men came. We don't know if they were related or family members or near and dear ones, but these people, random people, bought a friend and came. Does your home have open doors for people to come so that they can experience the love and the ministry of Jesus? Friends, we have care groups and trek groups that meet across the city during the week. And we invite you, because these care groups and trek groups are such homes where the doors are open and where you can come and your friends can come so that they can experience the love of Jesus. Perhaps you haven't joined a care group or a trek group yet, or maybe you have a home which has a lot of room and you are willing to open your doors. We would love for you to be the channel through which many people experience the love of Jesus. Get in touch with us. We need homes with open doors. We need homes which are willing to have no room left. The third thing we see in this, it says that there was a hole in the roof. How do we know this? Because we read that because these 4 friends, they couldn't find a way in through the door, they made a hole in the roof. Now, when we read the original text, the word used there, it implies that they removed the roof. We are under the notion that they made a hole, but the original text says that they removed the roof. Someone's home had to have a hole in their roof so that someone else could experience a healing. They were willing for their home to have a hole in their roof so that someone else could experience a healing. Are you willing, friends, to inconvenience yourself so that someone else can experience a miracle? What does a miracle cost? It costs us inconvenience so that someone else can be blessed. May you be encouraged with this thought. God can use you and your house as He used this home and this house. Whenever there's a hole in your roof and someone else is blessed, or when there are open doors and there's no room left, God uses your life and your home way beyond what you can think or imagine. Allow Jesus to wreck your home so that you can be a blessing for someone else.